Survivor Borneo, the season that started it all. Episode 1 premiered on May 31st, 2000, a day that would forever change the landscape of reality TV history. The episode begins with 16 strangers from all walks of life marooning on the southern Chinese island of Borneo, where they are divided into two teams, Pagong and Tagi. At Tagi, Rudy takes command of the tribe right away, being that he is a military man, which rubs some of the women, mainly Kelly, the wrong way. Richard also tries to organize the tribe when it comes to building the shelter, and he then gives his first confessional, which is arguably the most famous confessional in Survivor history.
I'm good to go, survival-wise. People-wise, it'll be a little more challenging. But I've got the $1 million check written already. I mean, I'm the winner. And it's that kind of cocky attitude that makes people really hate your guts. So that's the kind of thing I've really got to keep under wraps.
At Pagong, the older man in Bibi also takes on the leadership role, to which once again rubs some people the wrong way. He and Ramona then find the tribe's water hole, jokingly agreeing to hide it from the others. While obviously there are no idols, nor was this the reason why Ramona and Bibi were outsiders right away, this moment was ironically a foreshadowing of things to come in Survivor, and how disappearing from the tribe could make you an easy target out the gate. At the immunity challenge, Sonia's stumble out the gate causes Tagi to fall behind, leading to Pagong winning the first ever Survivor immunity challenge. Richard says there are 4 targets going into tribal, but in reality, the 2 main targets are Sonia for costing the tribe the challenge, and Rudy for his bossy attitude. But at Tribal, Sonia ends up getting voted out in a 4-3-1 vote, holding the dishonorary distinction of being the first person to ever be voted out of Survivor.
The tribe has spoken.
It's also pretty interesting that Richard was not only completely out of the loop here as he voted for Stacy, but imagine how different Survivor history would be if his throwaway vote would have caused Rudy to go home. It's episode 2 now, and Stacy is really upset that Rudy is still in the game, and we see 2 very interesting points made from Stacy and Rudy about one another. It would once again be a foreshadowing for the 2 distinct type of players in the old school era of Survivor.
I think after the vote at the Island Council, Rudy realized that he was just sort of a liability to us. He was sitting around barking orders and not really helping out much. We've all seen him eating extra food and doing inappropriate things in the kitchen, like he's leaving the knives out, they're getting rusty, and he's opening canned goods and fruit without asking anybody. I mean, we don't have a lot of food here.
She's too prim, like, you know, I mean, after about 3 weeks out here in this jungle, she's gonna learn a lesson, I think.
We then get a moment that makes you appreciate how far we've come in society, as Richard comes out as gay to the tribe, and while it does spook Dirk a bit, the 72-year-old Navy veteran in Rudy doesn't care, as he sees Rich as a hard worker and extremely valuable to the tribe, and the 2 form a friendship.
But anyway, me and Richard got to be pretty good friends. Not in a homosexual way, that's for sure.
At Pagong, Bibi continues to work literally all day, even when his tribe is begging him to stop, but this only pisses him off even further. Bibi is so fed up with his tribe that he suggests that they should throw the challenge to get rid of him, much to their shock and dismay. And at the immunity challenge, while Pagong doesn't throw it, they do lose their first challenge, sending them to their first tribal council, and in a 6-2 vote, Bibi becomes the second person to be voted out of Survivor Borneo.
Bibi, the tribe has spoken. It's time for you to go. All right. Goodbye.
Episode 3 begins with Stacy creating a girls' alliance in order to get Rudy out. Yeah, probably not the best move ever to create an alliance with the girls who are in the minority of the tribe, but hey, at least she's trying. And to make matters worse, Sue isn't even down to vote out Rudy, as she feels Stacy is the weakest. At Pagong, Greg and Colleen grow even more close as they find a mud volcano, and they slowly start to turn into America's favorite couple. We then get to the first ever reward challenge in Survivor history, to which Tagi wins, however, they would go on to lose immunity. The vote is between Stacy and Rudy, and while the show doesn't acknowledge it, Sean and Dirk are the swing votes here, as obviously the trio of Rich, Rudy, and Sue thought of Stacy as the weakest, while Kelly and Stacy couldn't take Rudy's attitude. In the first true blindside in Survivor, Dirk and Sean side with Rudy and vote out Stacy in a 5-2 vote.
Thanks. Well, the weather has spoken, and the tribe has spoken. It's time for you to go. Yeah. Goodbye.
There's been many debates over the years on how much production influenced Sean and Dirk's decision to keep Rudy, with Stacy even going on to sue the show for their influence in her elimination. But either way, Rudy is still in the game, now having survived 2 votes, where his name was on the chopping block. Episode 4 would turn out to be one of the most important episodes in the show's history. We start off with an update on Ramona, who had been sick for the past couple episodes, and while she is starting to feel better, the tribe feels it might be too little too late for her. We also see Greg continue to be absolutely hilarious, providing relief for the tribe. But then back at Tagi, while Sean and Dirk make themselves outcasts due to their shenanigans and constant Bible reading, Kelly, Rich, Rudy, and Sue decide to make an alliance. The first true alliance in Survivor history, and truly, the first evolution of legit strategy in Survivor.
Because the more people you know that are gonna vote for somebody else, you might as well go with that. You might as well, keep yourself safe and, keep it in the majority.
The tribes then compete in another reward challenge, one of the more underrated challenges Survivor's ever done, in my opinion, the Distress Signal Challenge. Tagi would win their second straight reward challenge, and this time, follow that up with an immunity win, sending Pagong back to Tribal Council. Despite Ramona being the obvious boot here, the vote ends up being a 4-2-1 split, with Jervis and Ramona voting for Colleen, and Greg voting for Jenna. But in the end, Ramona's season-long illness finally caught up to her, as she became the 4th person to be voted out of Survivor Borneo.
The tribe has spoken.
Dirk and Sean continue to make themselves outcasts as they fish to no avail, instead of actually helping the tribe, putting them on the chopping block on Tagi. Pagong ends up winning their first reward challenge, in large part thanks to Joel's spearing abilities. And back at their camp, Greg and Colleen continue to flirt with each other, and it appears they now have a full-on showmance. At the immunity challenge, the tribes continue to alternate in victories, as it's now Pagong's turn to win safety, sending Tagi to Tribal Council, where it's still between Dirk and Sean. In the end, the tribe chooses to keep Sean, as Dirk had lost a considerable amount of weight, thus probably making him seem very weak, sending him home in a 4-1-1 vote.
The tribe has spoken. It's time for you to go. Bye.
Good luck.
It's the penultimate episode before the merge, and both tribes wonder what this merger will be like. While Rudy had obviously voted with the Alliance at the last vote, and for that matter, had been on Sue and Richard's side all game, it wasn't until now that he officially pledged his allegiance to the Alliance, knowing that the 4 had to stay together if they were to enter the merge down in the numbers. At Pagong, Joel was super confident about the incoming merge, being that Pagong had the numbers, but this cocky attitude rubbed some other players the wrong way. Jervis then for some reason calls the girls dumber than a bunch of cows. At the reward challenge, Pagong wins food and chocolate by default, as Richard brings back a duplicate knife instead of a can opener. After the challenge, Joel throws out the idea of an alliance come the merge, but this completely backfires on him, as not only do the girls think this is mean-spirited, but he comes across as bossy. At a must-win immunity challenge for Tagi, they just edge out Pagong in a close race, completing the cycle of alternating immunity wins, and this meant we would go into the merge with the numbers even. But before the merge, Pagong had to come to a decision on who not to take with them, and despite Jervis literally calling the girls dumb, and costing them a couple challenges in the pre-merge, Joel is voted out in a 4-2 vote, due to him wanting to stay Pagong strong come the merge.
The tribe has spoken.
Joel definitely was ahead of his time here, and it would have been very interesting to see how the merge would have played out had the tribe actually listened to his advice. The merge episode begins with Jenna and Sean meeting at a neutral site where they enjoyed food and their first bit of comfort in nearly 3 weeks. They also were given the task on what to name the merge tribe and which tribe's beach they would live on. They ultimately choose the name Ratana, and the 2 tribes officially merge on Tagi's beach with the feast. Everyone is happy to meet each other and celebrate the accomplishment of making the first ever merge. We then get the first ever individual challenge in Survivor, and Greg would go on to win the first individual immunity. Nobody really knows who to vote for, as again, Pagong aren't really playing the game or voting strategically, and on Tagi, Sean's strategy is to vote alphabetically. No, I'm not kidding.
I'm going voting for Colleen today. I love her. She's cute, adorable, and nice to look at and fun to have around, but she's the first in a long list of alphabetical order.
At Tribal, everyone on Pagong votes for somebody different, but in a 4-1-1-1-1-1-1 vote, Gretchen is blindsided, as the Tagi 4 put all their votes on her, giving her the majority in this wild vote.
The tribe has spoken.
Episode 8 starts with Rudy explaining that it was his idea to target Gretchen for being the strongest of the Pagong members, and this would begin the trend in Survivor of targeting the big-time threats at the merge. Due to losing their leader, Pagong starts to feel vulnerable. It's almost like it probably wasn't the best idea to not vote as an alliance. The 9 players then compete in their first individual reward challenge, but are first greeted by their loved ones through TV. Well, everyone except Jenna, that is, as Survivor never received a tape from her family. Ouch. Greg would then go on to win a second straight individual challenge and would get to see the full videotape from his sister, and he also got to send a tape back to her. However, Jenna was so frustrated at the situation that she proceeded to continue on with the bow and arrow challenge as opposed to celebrating with Greg and the others. After the challenge, Richard and Greg started to form a tight bond, and this would obviously play a huge factor for Rich down the road. At the immunity challenge, Jervis finally takes down Greg to win his first individual immunity in his Survivor career. Bogong wants to target Jenna for her behavior at the challenge, but considering Greg was proving himself to be a challenge beast, combined with the fact that he was next up alphabetically, voting for Greg would guarantee that the Toggy 4 would have the numbers. And at Tribal Council, Sean, the Toggy 4, and Jenna vote out Greg in a 6-3 vote, making him the first member of the jury.
Greg. Greg, the tribe has spoken.
We start off episode 9 with a montage of Richard catching fish, something he's been doing all season, and it becomes clear to everyone that they can't vote him out due to him being such a great provider. The reward challenge is a rope obstacle course, and Colleen just beats out Kelly to win barbecue and letters from home. She also got to choose one other person to come with her, and after not hearing from her family at the last challenge, it was an easy decision for Colleen to choose Jenna. Rich's 39th birthday arises on the island, and he celebrates his birthday by going naked the entire day.
When I go home, my wife asks me about who was with you. I'll say a queer that ran around bare ass half of the time, for one thing.
At the Square Trap Immunity Challenge, 72-year-old Rudy won immunity. After acting inappropriate all day, Pogong's target headed into Tribal was Rich. Sean explains that he hasn't been a part of any alliances since the merge, hence he used the alphabet strategy as the most fair way to vote people off, even telling Jenna before Tribal that she's next up alphabetically. The Toggy 4 once again take advantage of this, as voting with Sean not only guarantees them the numbers for this vote, but the numbers the rest of the way. Tribal Council comes, and it's an interesting one, as expected, the Pogong members vote for Rich, and all but one Toggy member votes for Jenna, and that person is Kelly, voting for Sean instead, as she didn't want to vote for Jenna after forming a close bond with her. But despite her throwaway vote, Jenna's 4 votes is still enough and goes to the jury on a 4-3-1 vote.
Jenna, the tribe has spoken. It's time for you to go. Goodbye.
Rudy, Rich, and Sue all feel betrayed by Kelly for not voting with the Alliance and ponder whether or not to replace her with Sean. The final 7 competed for pizza and a phone call home in a 3-part balance challenge, to which Jervis won. He shared his pizza with everyone and called his girlfriend to see how his daughter was doing. However, Rudy didn't take too kindly to Jervis's life choices.
I don't agree with babies out of wedlock. That kind of garbage, you know. They need a family. They need somebody beating them in the head.
Rudy Bosch, ladies and gentlemen, the king of bluntness. At the immunity challenge, the players compete in a fire-making challenge, to which Richard easily wins. In a vote between Colleen and Jervis, the Toggy members feel that Jervis is the much bigger threat of the two, and vote him out in a 5-2 vote.
Tribe has spoken.
With Colleen being the last Pogong member standing, Kelly plays buddy-buddy with her, and whether intentional or not, the rest of Toggy takes this as her trying to lock in jury votes, and thus, the alliance is no more, as Kelly is now the new target over Colleen. At the reward challenge, Sean wins the trivia challenge about Borneo, earning him a night on a yacht, to where he was surprised to be greeted by his father. Sean then chooses Rich to come on board with him and his father to enjoy a feast, leaving Kelly even more frustrated with the people in her alliance. It's the final stakes immunity challenge now, and whether Kelly knows it or not, she's going home unless she wins immunity, as this is made clear by the other players during the challenge.
Kelly, on the other hand, has no idea that she's leaving this evening.
It comes down to Colleen and Kelly, with the loser being the one to go home, and in the end, Kelly wins her first immunity challenge, much to the annoyance of her former alliance. So with having no other choice, Colleen is now the only target for Toggy, and is voted out in a 4-2 vote, officially completing the first Pogonging in Survivor.
Colleen, the tribe has spoken.
It's the penultimate episode before the finale, and it's time for Toggy to officially start turning on each other. Again, they pretty much already had turned on Kelly, but now there was nowhere else to hide, as a Toggy member would for sure be going home for the first time since episode 5. Kelly and Sue get into a fight after Kelly once again didn't vote with Toggy at the last tribal, and even though Richard tries to smooth things over, he knew this was to his advantage. The final 5 reward challenge required the players to cover themselves in mud and scrape off as much as possible into a bucket, and with a total of 15.9 pounds, Kelly won the challenge, and her reward was getting to spend time with Jeff, and she got to watch the first 5 minutes of the season with him. I mean, it's something, I guess. Kelly then attempts to make amends with Sue, and even though Sue accepts Kelly's apology, she admits she can't take Kelly too far for being such a threat. At the Final 5 Immunity Challenge, Kelly guarantees her safety once again, winning her second straight immunity and third straight individual challenge. This immunity was the classic Survivor Witch Project, which gave us this iconic performance from Rudy.
What is the one event that has overshadowed the departure to most of the survivors from Tribal Council? I don't know. Become lost in the jungle, what should you do to find your way home? I don't know.
With Kelly being immune, and Rich, Sue, and Rudy voting together since day one, Sean's fate was all but sealed, and the creator of the infamous alphabet strategy became the 5th member of the jury.
The tribe has spoken, the jungle has spoken. Time for you to go. Goodbye.
It is now the finale, and the Alliance of 4 created in episode 4 has made it all the way to the final 4, and with over 50 million people watching, the first sole survivor will be crowned. We start off the episode with Kelly once again saying she was vulnerable, with the other 3 members confirming she was right, and as had been the case for the previous 2 immunity challenges, if Kelly didn't win immunity, she would be the one going home. But at the immunity challenge, Kelly once again clutched up to secure her 3rd straight must-win immunity, guaranteeing herself a spot in the final 3. The 4 immediately went to vote after the challenge, and at first, Kelly did side with Sue to vote out Rich, but realizing Rudy would literally never vote for Rich on the revote, she switched her vote to Sue, making Sue the 13th person voted out of Survivor Borneo and the 6th member of the jury.
Okay.
The tribe has spoken.
I'll see you guys later.
The next morning, the final 3 are awakened by Jeff for the rites of passage, which eventually led them to the site for their final immunity challenge, the classic hand on an idol endurance challenge. Richard would shock the 50 million at home watching when he stepped off, but explained his reasoning to Jeff, and that he was guaranteed the final 2 either way, so there was no reason for him to make the cutthroat final vote off. After over 4 hours, Rudy had a $1 million slip up, accidentally taking his hand off the idol, and giving Kelly her 4th straight immunity win, and with her sole vote, eliminated the lovable Rudy, the first of many fallen angels in Survivor. And speaking of angel, rest in peace, Rudy Bosch.
I don't blame her.
In this case, Kelly has spoken.
Rich and Kelly reflect on their 39-day journey before they face off against the jury of 7. This jury segment would ultimately give us one of, if not the most iconic moment in Survivor history, with Sue
To let it be in the end the way Mother Nature intended it to be, for the snake to eat the rat.
We then get to the vote, and Survivor doesn't even hide the fact that it's a close one, as Jervis, Jenna, and Colleen vote for Kelly, while Sean, Rudy, and Sue vote for Rich, leaving Greg as the swing vote. At the time, it seemed like his decision was based on who picked the closest to his number, as that was his jury question, but in reality, he did vote for the person he was closest to in the game, and that person was Rich, making him the first sole survivor, beating Kelly in a 4-3 vote.
The winner of the first Survivor competition is Rich. Congratulations, Rich.
So there you have it, guys, Survivor Borneo in 19 minutes. Let me know what you guys like and dislike about my first Survivor in blank minutes video, as I'll be making a video for each season every Wednesday for the foreseeable future. If you like this video and Survivor in general, then smash that like and subscribe button, and leave a comment down below of what you think of Survivor's first season. With all that said, buckle up, guys, because I still got over 40 of these to do. But until then, stay safe, and I'll see you next time.